was really in a very weird state. I didn't know what was gonna happen next. I used up all my savings, and I had about $50,000 in credit card debt. I was about to get a part-time job to supplement the business as it grew. And then we got a lucky break. We got contacted by Trader Joe's, and they were interested in bringing the coffee brand into their stores as our own brand. So that was the first time I felt like, oh my God, we have something here, and really began to invest in making sure that we could get the product in the store. And so that was the first time that we needed outside investment. So it was very stressful. It was also a very short period of time. And during the pandemic, which is when the supply chain issues just took off, so it was a very unique time to be able to be doing something that big. We were going to be the first Black and woman-owned coffee brand to be in Trader Joe's, and somehow it took off. We started getting calls from other retailers, so like Target, Sprouts. Like we were dealing with Trader Joe's, but also now suddenly we had to source for other retailers. 2 years later,
Hello.
I've been able to have a salary and out of credit card debt. I actually have zero.
Oh, that's a good coffee.
Yeah.
I'm a tea girl, but that's a good cup of coffee.
I'm very, very, very particular about my coffee.
It's been an
Hello.
amazing relationship. It's been life-changing for the business. I think the amount of exposure that we were able to get from the show actually went viral in Kenya. So that was kind of a surreal moment. On our website, we charge from $16 to about $20 for a 12-ounce bag of coffee. In deciding what we charge for a bag of coffee, we kind of think about three things. So first is the price of the unroasted coffee, which we call green coffee. Most of the cost is actually getting the coffee from unroasted to its final destination.
Hello.
And then the cost of roasting the coffee, packaging it, transit, we bake in a little bit of profit. We also look at what are other coffee brands charging. Our goal is to keep growing our distribution, so being able to bring coffee to more households. So we are working towards increasing distribution, and also the more coffee that we're able to distribute, the more farmers that we can bring into our system, and the more impact that we can have on the ground. It is a dream job. I wouldn't have predicted it, but it's something that I love doing. I don't know what
Hello.
else
Do you have any
I would do
questions?
if I wasn't doing this.
I'm just listening to this video and I sent it to my friend. So it's this woman who used to be an investment analyst on Wall Street. I think she worked about 7 or 8 years, which is where my friend and I are. And then she left that to like sell coffee. So I think that's quite interesting. Yeah, I thought that was quite interesting. My friend is considering her next step career wise, and I just thought it would be interesting to send that to her. But what are you guys busy with? I just need a break. Like I've got a headache, so I figured I'd come online. We can do a Q&A. But yeah, so she says she first took a sabbatical, but because her job was so demanding, she actually couldn't balance both. And then she ended up just leaving it and going full time for the gig. Is anyone saying anything? Yeah, no one is saying anything. Okay, yeah. Ask me something relevant. That's the Q&A. No. I don't know how to say your name without saying a slur that is going to impact me. But hi. And then Matumela. Hi, Matumela as well. How do you okay, obviously you can't write it down. You can't say it out loud, but yeah. Is your name Kavir? Kavir? Yeah. What's up? What are you guys busy with? Hi everyone. Hello, hello, hello. I was just talking about this lady that I was listening to now. She was a investment analyst, investment banking analyst for about 10, 11 years. Her name is Margaret Nyamumbo. She left that and then she just started like going into coffee, specialist coffee. I'm on a specialist coffee algo on YouTube because I watched a guy who was talking about how his business failed in specialist coffee. So I like learning about business mistakes because I like business. And I like listening to the parts that aren't rosy because I feel like people lie. So it's refreshing to come across something that's actually authentic. No one's asking me anything. I'm gonna log off at 10 past because you guys aren't saying anything. What do you guys think about the Airbnb taxes that are gonna be added in Cape Town? I was so excited when I saw that. So I don't have Bloomberg. So when I saw it, it was a link in my fixed income chat with the big boys. When I saw it, I was like, "Can you screenshot this for me? I can't find it anywhere else." And then one of the big bosses screenshotted it for me so I could read the article. Oh, and then the other one came into the office like an hour later and he's like, "You must be very excited about this." I was like, "You have no idea. No idea." I've been tracking rental property price inflation, RPPI from Stats SA. Cape Town has been like 8, 9%. Joburg has been like 4%. Rest of the country has been low. But the rest of the country doesn't really matter because Northern Cape was high, the latest print. So there's a 4 or 5 month lag, but Northern Cape was like 9%, but it weighs so little that it doesn't move the needle, right? I've been tracking the Airbnb rates per month. That is on AROI. I did a video on it. So if you check on one of my videos, I talked about the Airbnb rental issue in Cape Town. I've been looking at the tourist accommodation data from Stats SA showing the proportion of other, which is where Airbnb falls in the greater tourism accommodation industry. It's a 7 billion rand industry in South Africa, and other takes 2.6 billion. Hotels have been flat, other has been trending upwards. It is like he has no idea how passionate I am. So my boss says he thinks that 135% tax isn't that high. They're just gonna move it on to or pass it on to the consumer. And I'm like, fair enough. So what's the name? A one night in Cape Town CBD is gonna go from maybe it's maybe 1.5K off season to 1.8 close to 2K. And he was like, that's always going to be, it's not going to move the needle. And I was like, yes, but the beautiful thing is that those are hotel rates. So now they're going to be competing on a level field or level playing field with hotels. So if I'm in Cape Town and I'm looking to book a place, I can book a Protea Maria hotel for 2,000 or a city lodge or a town lodge for 2,000 a night. Or I can book an Airbnb for 2K a night where I have to pay 600 in cleaning fees. The landlord will tell me to take out the bin. The landlord will tell me to do this and this and this and this. So that's what I'm saying. The housing stock is going to come off of, or the change in housing stock is going to come off of, because they're not going to get as many bookings as they were getting, because now they're competing with hotels, and people are going to Airbnb because it's cheap, not because it's cute. So that's one. And I'm going to see that uptick in the decrease in the number of Airbnb listings, as well as the increase in the proportion of hotel spend for tourist accommodation relative to other. I'm also hoping, or I'm expecting, that new developments are going to be where we see the slowdown in rental price inflation. And it's where we're going to see the decrease in Airbnb stock. Because at the moment, agents are positioning every new development on the market as great for Airbnb. They're selling 1.2 million rand bachelor apartments without parking in Woodstock because they're saying it's close to town, it's great for Airbnb. And it's literally sleeping in the kitchen for 1.2, 1.6 million. And for me, that is disgusting, for one. But also, once I do the math as a new developer going in to buy something, and it's not as lucrative because of the higher tax, then they're going to start pricing new developments as if ordinary people are going to buy for living and not for long-term or short-term rentals. So I'm hoping to see that in the RPPI, in the new build section. Like, I'm gonna be watching those numbers religiously every month. Yeah, I'm excited. He could tell I'm excited. I was like, oh, I'm pumped. I'm pumped. So he thinks I'm wrong. I think I'm right. So we just have to watch, because he says it's not gonna move the needle. And I said, okay, I'm gonna look at the numbers and I'm gonna report. We're going to look at the average rental. We're going to look at the housing stock. We're going to look at the tourist accommodation share of tourist accommodation. And then we're just going to keep chatting on a monthly basis when the reports come out. But I am extremely happy. Yeah. It's obviously not the downfall of the property market in Cape Town, which is really what needs to happen, but it's a good step towards that. They're going to bring hopefully more housing stock for long-term tenants on the market. I don't know if you guys follow me on LinkedIn, but I actually responded to someone using an email I sent last October. I was showing that a property in Camps Bay lists for an average of 5,800 Rand a night. A property that lists for 5,800 a night at a modest occupancy of 50% brings in, that's 180 days, né? Brings in about R1 million, right? That same property, if that were to be leased, that's a 1 bedroom, by the way. If that same property were to be leased to a long-term tenant, the landlord would need to charge that person 80,000 Rand a month to make that same amount of money, right? Fine. If you look at that, 80,000 per month means you need to be earning 3 times of that. That's what typically agents look for when they're doing viewings and you're applying for a property. That means you need to be earning 240,000 a month gross. Right? There are 6 South Africans that earn 240,000 a month. 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3 of them are in my office. One of them is opposite the road at Coronation. The other one is in town at Allen Gray. So who's gonna live in these properties, right? I got all of those numbers from AROI. So like I said, it's in a video I put up here. I think I was talking about Gqeberha and Airbnb and short-term rentals, but we weren't being emotional. We were showing you the numbers, and I'm glad City of Cape Town is doing something. There's a lot of people who are also complaining about the valuations, but the valuation is off of the fact that you think you can rent out the property at a higher rate because it's a daily rate compared to like a monthly. it's discounted cash flows. That's how valuations work. So now everyone is upset, that the math is not mathing in terms of property valuations, but that's how the city of Cape Town works. That's how they generate revenue, and that's how they price out people that they don't want, undesirables, right? Someone saying, hello, I've been accepted for the program. Quant risk management at NWU. Can it lead to one becoming a quant? Let me look it up. I don't know it, but I'm guessing so. I mean, it's got quant in the name. Northwest University Quant Risk Management. Okay, so at the beginning you're doing accounting, and then you're doing intro to actuarial science. Oh, it is actuarial science. Oh, it's actuarial science. They're just calling it that. But I'm looking at a 2016 quant risk management training program roadmap. So it may be outdated. Yeah, you've got intro to actuarial science. You've got MEM2, so real analysis, linear algebra. You've got economics. You've got business ethics. You've got intro to risk management. You've got FinMaths. Third year, you've got actuarial science models, actuarial statistical models. You've got financial markets. You've got linear models. You've got a stats project. And then there's honors. Yeah. I think it's actuarial science, but it's just called something else at Northwest University. You can definitely become a quant. How can I get to doing XSci since I'm doing a BBSci statistics and data science because I was not accepted to XSci at UCT? Okay, so I was also not accepted in first year for actuarial science. I did BSc maths and stats, and then I did very well in first year, and I applied to actuarial science. So what you can do is, you guys are probably busy with registration now, ne? So what you can do is you can try and take some commerce courses. So you'll do your BSc, your maths, you'll do your statistics, and then you'll take maybe an ecos course or an accounting course instead of taking physics and chemistry. So you can take some courses from commerce, and then in second semester you can do the same. Second semester is when you're doing the actual statistics, right? Because we do stats 1006S, not 1010 for the accounting students. And then if you do really well for your maths and really well for your statistics, around, I want to say June, July, you can actually apply for actuarial science for the following year. And then you'll be a year behind because you wouldn't have had intro to actuarial science, but you can do MEM 2 and you can do stats 2, and then it's only intro to actuarial science that you'll be holding back. But you can also continue with the BBSci stats and data science. That's a really good program. You're not going to struggle to get a job. It's basically the same classes. You're going to be in all the same classes as the actuarial science students. But I'm not going to lie, I graduated in 2019, and studying actuarial science and graduating with actuarial science is still like 90% of my personality. So I know the appeal. I get the appeal. There's the prestige that comes with it. There's the, oh, you're so smart comments when people realize that you actually graduated with it. Because no one really cares if you get in factual science, because everyone gets in factual science, but not everyone finishes it, right? So I get what you like. I get that you still want to move into it, but I'm also suggesting that if funding is an issue, if you're worried about time spent in varsity in general, then BBSci stats is still a very good option. You're still going to be working with the same people in the same kind of roles in the same quantitative fields. So maybe just consider that. Also, like, chat to a student advisor and say, look, I want to apply for actuarial science, second semester for 2027, because UCT doesn't change programs mid-semester, right? So for 2027, but also bear in mind, if you do commerce courses, and then you don't get in, but it's BBSci, it's already commerce, it's fine. It's not a stats course or stats faculty. No, you're good. just do your ecos and your accounting now, and then second semester do really well at stats, and then apply for XI for 2027. Thank you so much for the live. Do you want to ask something? I'm gonna log off now. I need to actually do some work. Sorry, I am just very excited about the Cape Town thing, so that's what my rant was on. Does that work for the extended program? Absolutely. 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 So obviously if you're already extended, then it does also add a year. So just be mindful of that. I mean, there's funding. And I always say this to my sister, like varsity isn't just so you go to varsity. Varsity is so that you go get something that can equip you to be independent after, ne? So if you go in and you're already in a BBSI extended, that's 5 years, and now you want to add a 6th year just so you can do intro to actuarial science, because that's the only difference. That is literally the only difference. It's intro to actuarial science. And you're doing it for the ego boost, if we're being honest, then it's just something to think about. I mean, some people want to go to varsity and have the time of their lives, and that's fine if your home situation allows. But if your home situation doesn't allow, then you want to get in and get out, and then ube self-sufficient, man, uzenzele into zakho, ube nendawo yakho, like uzihlalele, ube nemoto yakho. So like abanye abantu will switch from EBB side to BCom, even if they didn't fail or anything like that, but because they're just looking at things and they're like, I've got enough now, manphume ndiyopangela. 3 years is enough. It's a quality degree. And in the quantitative degrees, you don't actually need the honors. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've got a 3-year degree. If I go back, it's gonna be like a postgraduate diploma in leadership or something, because into endizifunde emsebenzini soze ndizifumane eyunivesithi. In leadership, don't I'll be doing it so that I've got a 4-year degree so that I can apply for board seats and stuff like that. And I would probably do it at like a business school again so that I can network and things like that. But with quant degree, 3 years, more than enough. 4 years, cherry on top. So if we add the 6 years, by the time you get to working, colleagues zakho are gonna be 2 years your seniors. So you're there with Ipolo Vivo like me, and they're already getting like big cars. You're there still in your grad role, 24 months graduation. Now they are 4 years into their careers when you're finishing your grad rotation. So it's just something to think about, because ixesha lixesha and ixesha liyahamba. Yes, it will be a math degree without yes, will a math degree without stats be sufficient? It depends. It depends. PC, yeah. Because iquant kaloku, if una maths and stats ewe, but iquant would also want application. So that's why in the city statistics, because if one's pure maths, because the stats has a lot of, or a bit of commerce in it, manditsho modeling, and ibibesai AUCT ine-commerce, ikwa-commerce manditsho, whereas BSc ikwa-science. So when you're in commerce, unikwa, like you've got the option to do a bit of accounting, a bit of economics. So you transition seamlessly into the quant roles, and most quant roles are in business. So funeka ube nayo laa nto incinci laa nto ye-commerce, yabo, because ofika ube iquant kwa-Nedbank awazi nto ngebhizinesi, i-profitability, intoni. Not ubana bazukuthatha, but xa uphaa uzawusokola. But yeah, i-pure maths andiyazi baphelela pha abantu. Mna abantu endibaziyo bangene kwi-quant yi-pure maths ne-statistics, okanye yi-pure maths ne-applied maths. Look, some places even love physicists. Like, I work at a hedge fund, right? I work at Matrix Hedge Fund Managers, up at Kapa, and one of the big boys here, Konstantin, he is a physicist, right? He's a Russian guy, physicist by profession, and he is brilliant. he's a fixed income wizard. Uyayibo. So it's not uba nithathwa and stuff like that. It's just kwayena uba angene kwi-commerce like wajikijela kuze afikelele kuloo nto, uyayibona what I mean. But if wenze i-BBSci okanye wenze i-maths and stats or wenze i-BBSci, maths, stats okanye analytics, then unazo ezaa commerce courses. So i-commerce ayikho kude kuwe if you already know ubana that's the role you want to get into after. Wathini lo? It's fun in Africa. Okay, Fortunate. Okay. Ufortunate usuka phi na wethu? Kanimphendule mina ndiyonqena. Lindani, hi, how's it? How's it, boss? How's it? Guys, ingathi iyaqhuma le nto, mandinike 13 more minutes, 1:30 siloge off, but buza nemibuzo. Khanihoye nofortunate lo uthi it's fun in Africa, nimazi usuka phi, mhlawumbi uyabuya bemkile. Credit risk analyst, also qualified as a or classified as a quant. Ungatsho. So a lot of credit risk analysts into abayenzayo, they recalibrate and to rebuild, because credit risk analyst is often at a bank, and banks 2026 most of them aren't building new models because very little changes. They recalibrate a model. What does that mean? It means they've got a model for calculating a risk, mhlambi masithi credit risk for unsecured loan, so personal loans. So they've got a model, but they've got new data mhlambi over the past 3 years that they haven't added to the model. So masithi model in a beta coefficients, ne? So masithi 2 of the factors, we'll keep it simple, 2 of the factors is salary, determinisha ilanduka yakho, determinisha credit risk yakho, is salary, masithi ne gender, ne? So masithi is a coefficient, both of these variables have coefficients, and data yabo mhlambi is from 1990 up until 2022. They'll run those models and calculate credit risk off of that. And then every so often, they'll say, okay, let's push new data into it. So 2023, 2024, 2025. So like 36 months will go into the model, and they'll find that when they rerun that model, the scoring comes back as gender is no longer a good predictor of a credit risk. So they'll drop that variable. They'll keep mhlambi ilanduka salary, and maybe they'll add, instead of gender, they'll add whether this person has a car or not. So that's what they mean by model recalibration. They haven't rebuilt or changed the model. They're basically adding new data to the model, and they're basically saying, with this new additional data, is the model still telling us the same thing, or is it down weighting certain variables? Is it adding more variables? So that's what a credit risk analyst would be doing, team like his scorecard teams and stuff like that. Credit risk analyst will also be looking at impairments. So impairments, bad debts. So they'll be watching those things. They'll also be running metrics to help a call center. So to basically let them know, bana, these people are at risk of defaulting, or these people are in arrear bucket 2, they're going to bucket 3, masba phonele. They don't actually do the calls. They create the leads for a call center, and then they also help the call center automate returns off of that. So a call center will get leads by phone, and then the credit risk analyst will also monitor of those 100 people that the call center people called with the outstanding debt, or the people that are close to being in debt, how many of them promise to pay. So a PTP, that's what a credit risk analyst at a bank would do. At smaller houses, the work is often more exciting. You actually build the credit model. But with banky dog, you're recalibrating models, you're automating existing models. So yeah, let's see. Any tips to increase my success on mathematical stats? One, like 90% if possible. Hey boy, it's bum to chair. I'm not gonna lie. It's bum to chair. You see, I'm working now. If I wasn't working, I would be studying. That's ayikwenyinto. It's bum to chair. You gotta practice so much with statistics that when they ask you something, you're like, I've seen this before. It's not gonna utati shortcut or anything, which is a cognitive bias in and of itself. But you basically you've seen it all. You've seen the different ways they can ask something. You've seen the different tricks they can bring along. Ibam to chair. And I think if I could go back to a varsity now, bump to chair yam would be more deliberate because I did a lot of bump to chair, but because study method yam ndandingekayazi bed it down, like it was a lot of not good bump to chair. So for instance, I know I'm good in the morning, like bandivuke ndafunda mna yabo. In the afternoon I'm more tired, so I can do notes in the afternoon. And then I'm not a big napper, yabo. So I need to put in a lot of hours exeni, then the in notes in the afternoon, and then late I can do whatever I want to do to relax, because that's also important. I think because sisebenza ngengqondo, because we're quantitative people, it's often that ubana awuziva xa udiniwe, uzibona xa sohleli edeskeni yakho and you're reading the same thing over and over again and ayingeni, and it doesn't hit you as fatigue, it hits you as let me try harder. Kandi no boss, you're fatigued, like go chill outside, go with your friends, go get ice cream. Yabo. So bum to chair, but be deliberate and uzazi, like when do you work best, when do you not work best? Are you good at working alone? Are you good at working with friends? And are you good at studying alone, but then practice, or do you want to sit with friends for xani makisha? Because often a lot of the, especially actuarial science department, abaniki memo. So what you also don't want to do is you don't want to constantly be consulting uwedwa. So ufuna ufunda wedwa, if that's what works for you, then ube negroup yabantu nizmakishe and have like one memo that you've created according to you guys, and then when you're consultant niya as a group, and then that is the answers that you are presenting, and then the tutor or the lecturer is sitting with that, basically explaining, okay, 2.3 akarayithanga because of ABCD, you understand, but all three of you would have agreed that 2.3 is the best answer between you guys. And now I'm not talking about a group by 5, 6, 7. You're never gonna make it. I'm talking about bene partner nibe babini, nibe bathathu at most, so that it's not a mission bana nidibane, it's not calendar invite, it's not a group chat. 2 people, more than perfect. Can you please tell me what's the main difference between an actuarial analyst and a quant analyst? Okay, so actuarial analyst is like if you did actuarial science for one, but also irrole actuarial analysts are often insurance. Yeah, it's very rare for an actuarial analyst asset management, because what are you doing? Like the role won't be called that, you understand, but where now you've studied actuarial science, so the role you'll likely see actuarial analysts in insurance pillars of banks or insurance companies. Yeah. And then a quant analyst is just a quantitative analyst. You can find a quant analyst kwa Sasol, you can find a quant analyst at a mining company. Yeah, understand that it's anyone who needs to sit with numbers and help drive business decisions off of those numbers. So you would have seen precious metals are doing very well before the sell off last week because of big tech, right? Yeah, Anthropic's Claude really moved the what's her name, the market. My colleagues disagree, but I wrote a note and I sent it to them and I was like, it's not that deep, guys. Anthropic's legal app is not the end all be all. The market shouldn't have sold off that much, but anyway, before the sell-off of precious metals, like you saw that the what's names were doing very well. So all of the mining companies in South Africa will have people that are how do I say, that are working on or working for them, basically doing the numbers based on engineers that go to the mines. It's chemical, what else is there? Chemical, civil, what? The engineers and the mining engineers will do like projections of how much they think they can extract. And then the quant analysts will package that in such a way that they can say, okay, the life of the mine is the next 5 years, and this is how much, and what. And then that's what gets communicated to investors. So, Tina, as investors, as in mining, we can't chat directly to a mining analyst. We would rather chat to someone who understands the economics and who understands the mining, what, and in betweener. So that would be a quantitative analyst who can come and say, based on XYZ of the mine, we think that we're going to be profitable for the next 3 years based on the inventory and XYZ on this. Yeah, that's a quant analyst in mining. Or yeah, there's also quant analysts. ShopRite has quantitative analysts, right? Those are the guys that would look at the stock. They would look at optimizing the routes, yeah, drugs plus delivery. They would do the modeling for Checker 6060. How much can they grow over the next couple of years? Like right now, Checker 66 is 20% of not revenue of the shopping basket. Yeah, but ShopRite Checkers as a whole. How amazing is that? And that thing can go to the moon. That thing can be 50% of their what's the name, their shopping revenue, if you can imagine that. So there's different types of quant analysts, Mandish. Then thank you so much for your response. Definitely keep that in mind. Also wanted to ask, do you know where linear algebra is commonly applied? I'm quite drawn to ideas like eigenfaces. Hey boss, I don't know if commerce is really going to be for you, yeah, because math teaches you how to think logically, but statistics is the real application, ne? In commerce specifically. So in the fixed income now, and there's a little bit of maths and stats coming in, but they're not gonna ask me to prove anything at work, right? So it's difficult for me to say this is where it's going to be applied or this is where it's not going to be applied, because that is proper pure maths. You understand that? Whereas I did statistics mostly, like major, I am actual science, your major is statistics, but we just did MAM too because UCT likes it when you struggle. So I'm not close to where you would apply that. I've been working for 8 years as a quant. I've never had to apply Ilanduka EE, eigenvalues, the eigenfaces, all of that. So yeah. Then this person's asking image creation using linear algebra. However, I'm not sure whether working in a bank would allow me to use such skills. Bossman, chat to people who work at banks. The work is less than exciting, except for very small project teams. But as a graduate, that's not where you're gonna go. That's not where you're gonna go. I'm gonna be honest, guys. I'm a big proponent of small team, small company to start off with. I'm a big proponent of that because you get so much responsibility, you get so much work, and you get to understand end to end your business. It's not about responsible for land, and then that's that. The nice thing about understanding everything is that after like 2 years, grad, but this is what I like, or this part I don't like. But if you call a banking without rotations, then you stuck away one and you don't really get a broader what. If you can go to a bank and you can do a what's the name, a grad program with a rotation, then great. Yeah, understand that. Also, like my friends who started at banks still earn more than me. My friends who started at banks have like my career path, mandicho. Whereas now I've moved small companies, I've done important work that gets lodged to production quicker, and I've built up my skills quicker, but I've done a little bit of everything. I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. So yeah, but you get paid more in a career path. I mean, you get more banking benefits, you're working for a world-renowned organization. So it just depends bana uthanda ntoni and awuthandi ntoni. I've done both, but uqala kwam ndiqale ekhampani encinci ndaba phaa for about 2.5 years, and that's where I built the bulk of his skill set sam, which is very important, especially xa umnyama, because xa umnyama you can't afford to ungawazi umsebenzi, because you're not going to be a personality hire. You also can't afford to just be background, especially kwikhampani encinci awunachance kwikhampani encinci phofu uba ungawazi umsebenzi. Kwenkulu you can sort of just, be amongst the people, be a talker's talker, be a personality, ntoni. But to each unto his own. Like bakhona abantu abathi yo dude kunindaba oluphangela F&B, then yeah, go to a big company. But if you want to actually work on things that are exciting and you want to be innovative and ufuna ubuilda into ozayibona isetyenziswa, then small companies where it's at, irrespective of the sector. For instance, I'll tell you image creation, maybe image recognition. I'll tell you about image recognition. So, uyazibona imoto, US Bank had a project actually when they are selling cars on, I think it's on the banking app. Oh, there's my phone. But when there's a platform there, Navcar, FNB, where you can buy imoto. So what they wanted to do, I don't know if they've done it already, but I can list imoto yam pandi things second hand. So not image creation, image dondon, but you can actually pick up AP number plate and you can hide it. So I upload it, and then when it gets onto the platform, it reads where my number plate is in the picture. And then when you open your banking app to look at my listing for my car, I'll put a number plate down. Yeah, understand? Obviously this could help. They've switched them off now, but is Indonesia the sunround dondon? Yeah, they can pick up image recognition. Yeah, they can pick up ubana le moto, le barcode, le ndondoni, and security cameras all across the city can help with something like that. So there you would use, that would be a mathematical application or a statistical application. So it's similar to EK means, because you're basically saying you've got a list of number plates from the city of Joburg or city of Cape Town, and then you've got this picture, and then you have to sort of mesh it. Which number plate is this most likely the closest to? But that is an application. It's not pure maths, and you would most likely not have to write that from scratch. There are likely packages in R or Python or whatever programming language that already do that. But if you've got the understanding of how it works, you are more likely to be successful in building out that program. But you don't have to build it from scratch. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. That's also the thing. Like at work, you don't get points for proving that a formula is a formula. You don't get points for proving that the left hand side is equal to the right hand side. It doesn't matter if you built it from scratch. No one's going to say well done. They just want the job done. So if there's a package or if there's a GitHub where the project has already been done, grab that, tailor it, and then use it. No one cares that you built it from scratch. In fact, they're going to be annoyed because you're going to take longer. Image condition. Do you believe in Jesus? Of course not. 8311 risk management advice. Hey, I haven't written 8311, boss man. I'll be leading you astray. I got stuck at 8213, which is contingencies. I wrote it twice. I failed both times. That no, am I gay? Fonte Blanche. Why would you ask that? Doing honors in Ag to suggest entering a quant grad program or a churro grad program. You gotta give me more. You gotta give me more. You gotta give me more. Quant grad program at RMB probably pays you 200,000 more than an actual grad program at FNB. And then you guys are gonna see each other at the cafeteria, and you're gonna know that they're earning 200,000 more than you. How's it gonna make you feel? Great advice. Wow, that is awesome, guys. I have to go. On the person who asked about the quant and the actual grad program, I'm not joking. It is serious, but maybe we can chat about it a bit more another time. Yeah, thanks.